My question is, the time now, we're coming up to election next year, and we are talking about this. And do you think this is the time that we delay the election and process the constitutional review that we're talking about? Because we do not want the government goes out and start promoting and campaigning for coming back to reform the constitution, and we will change the constitution, and that becomes the tool for campaigning next election. I believe that if we are serious, let's go ahead, put our hands down, and let's delay the election and come up with the appropriate constitution before going for election. Thank you.
Government is committed to election, as I said. There will be a referendum bill in December. Following that, Prime Minister will announce the members of the Constitution Review Commission next year, so it's a big bang from next year. I think I've responded to your questions. Naka.
I thank my friend there for raising that issue on the reality of the situation we have, whether we can delay the election or not, if the members of the panel can answer that question. Because that is a crucial point. If we can't delay the election according to the requirements of the Constitution, then all this discussion is hopeless. Because the time for constitutional review, the commission, the setting up of a commission, the setting up of a constitutional assembly requires time. We have about 14 months to work on. That's the deadline. We can't go beyond that if the Constitution doesn't allow it. So let's pick out which particular component is necessary. Constitutional Assembly, how long do we need it? If we only have 14 months, then we must start working now. We set the timeline, deadline on when it's supposed to be done. This is supposed to be done now. Take away the irrelevant stuff. If we cannot go beyond 14 months, all these recommendations are useless. We're just wasting time. These things should have been done long ago, Neles. This dialogue should have been done long ago. Thank you for bringing it up now, because you can hear our voice now. This is long overdue. Set the deadline. We cannot go beyond January 2027, and then work from there. Which components are relevant? Whether it's Constitutional Assembly and referendum compulsory, which ones are supposed to be in there? And when are we supposed to start?
Okay, yeah.
Can we have an answer on that, whether the Constitution allows us to delay according to his request? Because that's very important. If we cannot delay it, we are stuck with 14 months.
Well, we cannot delay elections. That is going to create a constitutional crisis. If elections are not held within the period that is stipulated in the Constitution. So if elections are not held by 7th February 2027, we're going to have a constitutional crisis, because the constitutional authority of the current parliament is going to lapse. So there's going to be a vacuum. There won't be any lawful authority in Fiji to be making laws, to be appropriating public money and so forth. So there's going to be a constitutional crisis. Now, a constitution review process does not really need to be tied to a government's tenure. So the process can start. It can go on for 2 years, right? And we can have elections. That is why some of the recommendations that we've made for the process to be separate from the political, to be free from political capture. So regardless of whoever is in power, the Constitution Review Commission is going to continue doing its work. And it needs to be adequately empowered by the law, a Constitution Review Act, to be able to do its work. And then the next parliament that comes in after the elections are held, that parliament will then receive the report from the Constitution Review Commission. So it doesn't really need to be tied to elections. You know, it would have been good if this process had been initiated maybe 2 years ago, right? And as for Dialogue Fiji not organizing this sooner, we have organized this in response to the political developments. 2 years ago, we had no idea that the government would want to change the constitution, because they hadn't said so. They hadn't really initiated the process, so we couldn't have it. Now we're doing it because we are getting quite concerned that the government has said that they want to introduce a Constitution Amendment Act. Referendum Act. Yeah. Referendum bill is fine, but a Constitution Amendment Act would be problematic.